to the Cards and Comic Show. Welcome back to Cards and Comics, and today I have the first episode of my new show. So yeah, I'm very excited to start a show. I even have a intro theme that I hope you heard, written, produced, and performed by yours exclusively. And I even have a whole agenda to go through that I did myself. Spared no expense on my agenda. So I got an intro, which you heard. I'm going to talk about hobby news. Then we'll go to viewers, letters, and email. We'll talk about some sports cards, and I'll show you what I picked up. I'll go through a section I call Minor Comic Keys, and show you what I've been picking up on the local comic book store. Go through my comic book mail day, and then unveil my new catchphrase. So here we go. Cards and Comics, show number 1. Here we go. All right. So we'll start with some hobby news. I just did the whole Fanatics video. Hope you watch it. Give me some feedback. I don't really think there's much going on today that I've heard with news, other than just, the same old, pricing issues, Panini, $500 a box for Inception. Just things are really crazy right now for pricing. I just don't see how it's going to get better, but hey, who knows? Maybe if enough products left over at the Panini website, we won't have to deal with $500 box of Donruss football cards anymore, but I don't know. I think the cat's out of the bag on this pricing thing. All right. So next up, we'll go to viewer letters and email, and I don't really have them with me. I got a friend helping me now with the show. Hey, Bob. Yeah, it's hard to hear. He's saying I don't actually have any viewer letters or email, so I'm gonna have to make it up. Here's a question from Bill from New Jersey. What's your favorite insert set? Hey, glad you asked. Because I've been picking up a lot of them. So right now, my favorite insert set is this 98 Donruss Crusade. And I just picked this one up in the mail. Ryan Christensen. Look at that. Super, super duper shiny. And thanks, Bill from New Jersey. I appreciate the question. And we'll move on to our sports card mail day. So, what? I didn't just rebrand my Epic Mail Day to a show just because it's my lowest rated video, Bob. I mean, why would anybody think that, Yeah, I know. It seems like it's the same exact content, but it's got a new title and it's got a show and intro theme. Okay? It's got an intro theme, so it's different. All right, so here's a card I picked up. And I don't know why, I've got this addiction to buying cards, and I just look. I never had a card from this set, so I just thought, why don't I get a card from this set? It was super cheap. It's kind of like at some point, when you're collecting cards and you just kind of keep doing it, you just want a card from every set, and in the old days, we used to call it type collecting, and I think modern kids would not know what that means. So that means you collect one card from every set. Tobacco collectors do this quite a bit. They want one back, and that's a back type collector, right? So one back from every T206 advertising back. But here is a 1966 Batman. So really early comic card. I just liked it had both Batman and Robin. You get the little signal, and I always liked that Batman had eyebrows for some weird reason. Okay, next up is my first, well, actually my second, but my first vintage CSG card, and it is a 1953 Roy Campanella. So there we go. It's a 5.5. And the big issue is this corner right here, which you can see is pretty smushed. You know, the corners are, but it does present well. It's very nicely centered. And I will still say I hate the holders. I just, this huge blank space here. And that just giant, so just bring this card back for a sec. You know, the label size is just so enormous. I know they're doing it because there's so many cards in modern cards that have, you know, like 400, you know, variations that they're trying to build for, but yeah, I just don't like it. And the back is also just, you know, a waste of space again. I don't know, maybe give it more information on the back than the front. But, you know, the back looks very nice. So it's a very presentable card. You know, to me, you know, those corners are, you know, could be 6s, you know, and some other holders. So I think it's fairly graded. I think it's accurately graded. So yeah, it's a good card, and I'm glad to have my first CSG vintage sports card, even though they're not really bringing top dollar right now. Next up is a 58 Frank Robinson PSA 7. This is the All-Star. Just a cheap card. I mean, you know, these 58 All-Stars, in some cases were triple printed. I know the Stam Usual was. So here we got one that is a nice card, but it's not, you know, break the bank. And Frank Robinson, you know, this is the second year, but it's an All-Star card, which again, these are pretty heavily printed. But I think they're really cool, and I don't have that card. Next up is a card I do have, but I like this version of this card, so I went ahead and got it. See if we can get some focus. There we go. And it is the 64 Topps Warren Spawn. And it's a little off, I think a little bit left to right, but it's hard to tell. With PSA, with this little holder part here, sometimes you get a shadow, and then you got to kind of look at it at an angle to see the true centering. I see this a lot when people hold cards like this. You get that little shadow, and then it makes the card look more off-center. You look at it like that, and it looks a lot better centered. So it's a pretty good card. It's a PSA 8, which is, you know, harder and harder for me to get. Vintage PSA 8. Here's one for my Pirate team set. So this is 72 O-Pee-Chee PSA 7, #1 card in the set. World champion Pittsburgh Pirates. And I put the whole top set together of the Pirates. Now I'm working on the O-Pee-Chee version, and so do not have that team card. For some strange reason, I'm building the 77 O-Pee-Chee set because this is literally like my 4th Hall of Famer I picked up in the set. Here's Steve Carlton in a PSA 9. Again, you can see the giant printed in Canada on the back, so you will make no mistakes that this is O-Pee-Chee. But yeah, I mean, I think I picked up the Mike Schmidt, the Tom Sieber. So yeah, slowly buying all the Hall of Famers. Next up is a 78 Tom Sieber PSA 9. Really cheap card. It's got a pretty good pop count, so it's never going to be super expensive, but you saw my Tom Sieber versus Nolan Ryan video, hopefully, and you'll know, like, I think Sieber's highly undervalued. So I've been picking up his cards. And then here's George Brett, and who's another player I think is really undervalued as well. Because, you know, generally it's just his rookie card and his second-year card that are worth anything, and everything else is pretty cheap, in my opinion. So there's a regular 78 Topps George Brett PSA 8. So that is the vintage baseball and the one non-sports card. I'll move on into my 90s inserts and modern cards. We saw this Ryan Christensen, so furthering my 98 set of Donruss Crusade. And here's a set that I've been putting together just because I really like the set, and I think it's a little undervalued. Because to me, I mean, obviously they've ripped off the 65 top set for comparison, and somebody wrote on the holder. So I'll take it out. That way you can see it without the two 244 on it. There you go. Scott Rowland, who's going to make the Hall of Fame soon. And it's an early auto, Scott Rowland. I believe these are 1999. And yeah, so see it there. Yeah, sometimes your camera works and sometimes it doesn't. Okay, maybe 1998. I'm always wrong. I'm like, I can't get my 98s and 99s right. So 98 Upper Deck Retro. I have the Griffey, so I don't know if you saw my Griffey video. I keep referencing videos that probably no one has seen, just because, you know, my view counts aren't that high. So I do have a video about my favorite Griffey cards, and my 90 in this Griffey Auto is in there because it's super duper rare. Go look it up on Baseball Cardpedia. You'll see that 98 Griffey is a super short print, and that's why I love it. And it's one of my coolest cards I have, a Griffey. And now I just like to get the whole set. And here's Bob Feller, who, you know, this card doesn't come up very often. And here's a 9. And you know, eventually I'll probably get the whole set graded, and you can see it right there on the back. And unfortunately, Bob Feller is not with us anymore, so you know, I know his autographs aren't rare, but that is a cooler one of him. Now, moving on into my another set, you know, that you've seen, hopefully, again, a reference to videos. I did 2 boxes of 95 Finest. One of them had a Derek Jeter refractor, and the other one had no refractors, and that was really crappy and a bummer for me to open a whole box. And again, in that video, I talk about it's not been searched. It's just Top sucks. And back then, that's what you would get. You're supposed to get 1 refractor box, and I got Zippo. And but here's the McGuire 95 Finest refractor, which I think this set is really undervalued. You get 1 a box, and it's like, yeah, it's a crapshoot. You know, it's really hard to pull anybody good, and they're really off center most of the time. It's like half of them are 90-10, 80-20, and the rest of them are perfectly centered. So if you pull one, there's a good chance you're going to get one that's way off center. This one is not, even though it's an 8. It's a really cool card from a really cool set. And I can't wait for next year because they're doing the retro Finest every year now for Thompson. So this year they're doing 94 Finest, and next year is going to be 95 Finest, and that's going to be fire. Here we go. And here's the big card for this week. I'm just going to show it. Might as well. I did pick up a 95 Finest Griffey. So I've got the 93. I've got the 94 Bowman's Best, and now I've got the 95 Finest. I need the 94 Finest Griffey, so that's on my watch list. I've got the 96 Gold, so I mean, I've got a few really nice Griffey refractors, but this is one of the OGs. I kind of like to try. I think Griffey Finest refractors, all the way up until like the 99 Gold die cut, are some of the coolest cards ever. So I really want the 90. You know, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, all those variations. You know, I really want those 98, you know, die cut, embossed refractors. I mean, that's obviously a grail card for a lot of Griffey collectors. But this card is rough, like I said, and this one is off center. And I have always a little PSA when I showcase my Griffey collection. It's, you know, they're not all PSA 10s. I don't care if every card I get's a 10. I care if I have the card. Because Griffey cards are A, getting very expensive, so just having the card is important. And B, you know, a lot of times they're rare, and so you're not going to have a lot of selection. You know, you're not always going to be able to afford or find something that's perfectly centered. And like I said, over half of these were way off center, the ones I've seen. So it's not uncommon to find one. And I just love this card, and I love Griffey, and this is a really, really cool refractor. And you know, it just shows like, you know, you can make inserts in the 90s that are cooler than today's. Last cards, nothing major. I mean, I picked up this Optic Silver of Van Jefferson. Not huge. And then this card from a set really, really like. 98 Flair Brilliance, Peyton Manning rookie. I want to get the blue and the gold. I just love the set. Really underrated set. It's kind of like Flair Mystique back in the day. You know, just looked really cool. This set is insanely hard because of not only glossy foil, no borders. This card chipped, or not chipped, but scratched if you just looked at it. I have the Griffey Gold, and you know, so that was one of my favorite Griffies. I picked that up late last year. the Griffey Gold, and I really, really love it. When I sold my Jim Brown card, the rookie card, that was one of the cards I picked up, was that Griffey Flair Brilliance Gold. And I think those are numbered out of 100. The golds are pretty hard to get. So there is the Man in Gold. All right, for everyone who hates comic books, you can leave the room, because I'm going to go into comic books, and I'll start with my mail. Actually, I got to get back to my agenda here, and it says minor comic keys. All right, so I've got a bunch of minor comic keys I picked up at a local comic book store in Ballston Spa, and here they are. And we will zoom out a little bit so you can see the full glory of these comic books. And so here we go. So we're going to start with the first book on the list is Stephen Platt, art on Moon Knight number 58. So I bought it for $15. And obviously Death in the Family was a big mini-series for Batman too. So it's funny how DC and Marvel continuously rip each other's storylines off, but here we go. So I bought it for $15, and the last sale was $26. So this one gets the thumbs up. I did not look these up before I bought them. So this is another thing. This whole segment, I am going to go to comic book shops, and I don't usually haggle, and I usually just, if I see something I like it. In general, sometimes I get volume discounts, but my goal is to identify what I think is a good deal and see if I'm right. In this case, I was right, and so this comic was just sold for $26, and I paid $15. Next up is Moon Knight number 56, and I paid $20 for it, and this has sold consistently between $30 to $50. So again, Stephen Platt artwork. You get the nice Platt there. Cool art. A lot of people thought he was kind of like a McFarlane disciple, but I think he has some his own style. So the thumbs up for Moon Knight number 56. Next up is Rise of the Midnight Suns, Ghost Rider number 28. So it's the first appearance of the Midnight Suns and Lilith, who a lot of people think is going to be in the series or in a movie or whatever, in some sort of media. And this got hot for a long, long time, and then it really cooled down, and I bought it, unfortunately, when it was priced, still at some of the higher numbers, and it sold recently for $19. So this was a big thumbs down. I did not do my research properly or guessed right. Next up is a $1 book, so $3 book, but that I picked up, and I kind of knew this book a little bit. So Action Comics 806, and I think it's like Steele's daughter or something's in this book, first appearance. Paid $3, and it sells between 10 and 15. So this was a good buy for a book that's basically in someone's dollar book bin. This guy had a whole run of Gotham City Sirens. He didn't have number 1, but he had 2 through 5, and I picked them up. So here's number 5, which has got kind of a really nice Harley Quinn iconic cover here. And again, I paid $8 for it, which you can see the price tag right there. Hopefully it was, there we go, $8 maybe. And this one's selling between $10 and $20. $10 and $20 for that one. This is actually my favorite cover, which is all of the Sirens on one, and Harley giving Catwoman a nice little hug, holding her lasso like she's going to tie her up. Yeah, that's not suggestive at all. So Gotham City Sirens number 4. It sells about $8 to $10. So, right at what I paid for, which I think is kind of cheap. Here is Gotham City Sirens number 3. It sells $8. And again, I think it's a really cool cover. And they're all really cool covers. Every one of these books has actually got very nice covers. Here is number 2. And again, I paid $8. Actually, I paid $5 for, or $6 for this cover, and it sells for $8. And this cover sells between $8 to $10. And so I didn't make a lot of money on those, but I made some, and I didn't lose. So yay me. Next up is 52, number 45. week 45. So this is a really cool Black Adam cover. And a lot of his cool covers are going to, or just going up because he doesn't have a ton of covers that are just awesome. So a lot of these earlier covers of Black Adam are definitely picking up with The Rock playing him in a movie. Paid $5 and it's selling between 5 to 8. So it's not a huge book yet, but it's got potential. It's a fun book. Spawn 310 McFarlane cover A. I picked it up again in the common book bin for $4, and it's been going anywhere between $8 to $10. So it's picked up some steam already, and it's a really cool cover of the Gunslinger. Next up was, these weren't dollar bin books, but they were kind of like wall books. So Spider-Man number 157, and this is a really nice copy. Very fine plus. And it is, I paid $20 for it, and it goes anywhere from $25 to $50 in this condition. Again, it's hard to on eBay, condition's hard to really tell. So some books really bring it up, but you can see that this has very little spine ticking. Just a really nice copy, and no real creases I can see, no tears on the cover. Just a really nice book for $20, and it's selling closer to $30 to $50. So very happy with that. And this was a really cool book, Amazing Spider-Man Annual number 12. Paid $10, and again, this is selling $25 to $30 in this condition. Again, a nice condition. It's got a little bit of, I would say creasing, but wrinkles here that can be pressed out. This book press, I think, would bring, an 8.0 or above, and that book is worth some money if it was an 8.0 or above. So I paid $10, and I think it's selling between $25 to $30 in this condition. So there you go. That is my minor keys. So overall, I had one book that I bought, the Ghost Rider 28, that was I overpaid, and in general I paid either right at it, so the guy was priced pretty fairly, or I made money, or I got more than it was worth, and or it was worth more than I paid. And all those prices are without shipping added to them, so you gotta factor that in. Next up, I bought this McFarlane Classic Tales of Spider-Man book, just to show, like, hey, these books are they're not easy to get, but they haven't gone up like the ASM books have for McFarlane Spider-Man covers, and some of them are pretty cool. And this is one that I think is really cool. Again, I paid like $5 for it. Here's an example of a Black Adam book that has gone up, and this is Justice Society of America 23, the Black Adam Alex Ross version. And the reason this has gone up so much, obviously, is because it's Alex Ross, and it's a super cool cover. And these were really common in the dollar bin. Alex Ross did portraits for every major character in the series, so they're all fun to pick up. Liberty Bell's got one. There's just a lot of characters that have cool Alex Ross portraits, and Black Adam obviously getting some heat. And last but not least is Death, The High Cost of Living, number 3. A very nice, a little abstract cover of Death. Goes in my Death collection, and love that book. It's not worth much. All right, so that's the end of the mail day, and the end of my first Cards and Comics show. And I've got to debut my new catchphrase, so here we go. Here's catchphrase 1. I'm gonna see which one sticks. So this is one that is really, for me, how I think about collecting, and it's really keep your head down and collect what you love, right? Because there's a lot of noise out there, and all these videos I keep seeing on YouTube, about what's going to go up, and how to build a collection, and how to invest, and how to grow your collection. And you have all these videos that go on and on about how to make money. At the end of the day, this is a hobby for me. And so, my theory is just keep my head down, build my collection, and then in 10, 15 years when I look up, I may have something worth something, or I may have collected something not worth anything, but at least it was fun. and it's about the journey. So keep your head down, collect what you love, and I'll see you next time.